Hello guys, in this video I'm going to explain you how to deliver the formative assessment. On the structure of the formative assessment, I'm going to send you the instructions written so it's easier for you. So let's go ahead and explain what are the elements and how you should present to me the formative assessment, okay? So the first step is for you to explain a little bit or write a little bit about the news that you have to the first news that we spoke about and the news that was a homework at the beginning of the trimester. So mine is Secretos del Bombardeo que mató a 8 niños y cobró la cabeza de Botero. You just have to state what was the news and the date. So the date is the 10th of November of 2019, and it is about that the Army of Colombia bombed a guerrilla camp that was near the town called San Vicente del Caguán in the department of Colombia called Caquetá. So you just have to, in the first step, you just have to write the title of the news or present it to me like I'm going to show you. You just have to present the image of the news, and that would be the step 1. Okay? So now in the step 2, the purpose of the step 2 is for you to choose 2 of the historic events that we analyzed in class. I'm going to stop in the event of 1984 and 1964. So this happened and this was related with some of the military activity against what was the revolutionary armed groups of FARC, but this is after the peace process of 2016. So let's go back a little bit and let's start with the step 2. And let's go to 1984. The event of 1984 was the peace dialogues of La Uribe. And this event was about the moment where the FARC revolutionary armed group sat down with the government and tried to come up with a solution for the armed conflict. The government didn't agree with this revolutionary armed group in terms of the ceasefire or the exercise by which a military institution or a military organization stops their military activities. This is related with the news in terms of political violence. The way the government stops or has no peace will or has no will to build peace. That's what happened in 1984 with the failed peace process of La Uribe. Something very similar in terms of political violence happened in 1964 when the government, with help of the US military, bombed and attacked a town called Marquetalia. This is the birth myth of the FARC-EP. Yes? And the purpose of the step 2 is to relate both of these elements with political violence. Okay? So what is political violence? The political violence means, as we have said in class, a specific type of violence that acts, or the specific type of violence that involves 2 parties or 2 perspectives, 2 different political perspectives that are both armed. These are 2 political perspectives, or these 2 processes involve 2 political perspectives. The government, who was not able or had no will to sit down and talk with the revolutionary armed groups, and in this case was the government that failed to build pacific ways to solve armed conflicts or to solve conflicts in general. So this happened in 1984 and this happened in 1964. That is what you have to do. Pay attention that I put them in the order of backwards history. I did not put 1964 first. I chose 1984 because this is closer to our days, 1984. That's why I wrote it first. Then I wrote 1964 and then I relate them to the concept of political violence. That's it. That's all you have to do. Now let's go to step number 3. So step number 3 says that you have to answer to the question, do you think the armed conflict is over? Now you have to take into account what you have said. So for me, the armed conflict is not over yet, because as we saw in the first step, in the one about our news, this happened in 2019, and this is an event in which the government was involved in the assassination or the bombing or the killing of little children. And so this express a way in which the government is not able or is not ready to speak about peace. That's why I think, to answer that question, that's why I think that the conflict is not over yet. Because what happened in 2019 is very similar to what happened in 1984, and is very similar to what happened in 1964. So question number 4. Question number 4 is actually easier. It's just for you to state what would you change for your next formative assessment. Do you think you could be more organized? Do you think you could maybe take more notes on your notebook? Maybe it's better for you to take more notes on your notebook and tell something about the process of building these exercises. Do you think it helped you understand the history of Colombia? And what would you change for your next formative assessment? Thank you very much. That's it.